All right, guys. So now we can add meals and workouts. So if I say lunch, so that gets added right here, and it also reflects in the stats and the progress bar. Now I want to be able to click this delete and delete this item. Now, since there's going to be multiple delete items, we're going to use event delegation, which we learned about a while ago. So we want to target the actual items parent div, and then we're going to target the button. So we're going to have inside the app class, we'll have a remove item, just like we have new item, which will also get passed in a type and so on. So let's create a new event listener. That'll be the first step here. So document.getElementById. And like I said, I'm going to use event delegation. So we're going to target meal items, which is the parent class of all the items. And then from there, we're going to add an event listener and listen for a click. And when that happens, we're going to call this dot underscore remove items. Now we need access to I should say we need the this keyword to be the actual object rather than just the element we click. So we're going to have to bind, say bind, and then pass in this. Okay, and then we're also passing in the type. So here the type is going to be meal. All right, we're going to use remove. This should be singular. We're going to use remove item on the workout as well. We'll get to that soon. So let's create remove item down below new item. So we'll say remove item, and that's going to take in the type and also the event object. All right, so remove item, and we're going to then target the button. So just to show you real quick, let's open up the Elements tab, and if we look at the button here, so the button has a class of delete, and there's also an icon class in there. So we need to basically target delete the button and the icon. So we're going to check for delete and FA-X mark. So let's say if e.target, which is whatever we click on, if that class list contains the class of delete, or because we want to check for both the button and the icon, or e.target target dot class list dot contains, and then the class we want to look for is FA-X mark. Okay, so if it's either one of these classes, then we're going to do a confirmation since it's a delete. So we'll just say if confirm, and then we'll just say, are you sure? And then for now, let's just do a console log of delete. All right, so right now, if I click on, we just need to add a new meal. All right, so if I click anywhere in here, like this shouldn't do anything. But if I click on the button or the icon here, then we see our confirm, and then we see the console log. All right, so we know that that's working up to this point. Now we want to get the ID, and if you remember, we added onto the actual item, right? This div right here has a data ID attribute, which is the ID of the meal or the workout, whichever we're looking at. So we want to get that ID. So let's get rid of this, and let's say const ID, and we're going to set that to e.target. Now we have to get the main div here with the class of card, because that's where the ID is. So there's a few ways to do this, right? We're clicking on the delete button in here, and we want to get the closest card, closest div with the class of card. So there's a method we can use called closest. Closets? Closest. Yeah, closest. And then let's pass in here, we want the class of card. Okay, so whatever card is the closest to us, then we want to get the attribute, because we want to get the ID, so we want to get the data dash ID attribute. And for now, let's just do a console log of the ID. Make sure that works. So again, we need to add a meal. Okay, if I delete, and there you can see we're getting the ID. because that ID needs to be passed into the tracker method that we're going to call. So now underneath where we get the ID, let's see what are we removing, a meal or an item, and based on that we're going to call a different method. So you could use an if statement, but I'm going to use a ternary. So I'm going to say if the type is equal to meal, then we're going to call this dot underscore tracker, because remember that the tracker, we instantiated it into a property up here in the constructor, right? So that's how we can access the tracker. So this dot underscore tracker, and then remove meal. And there's no underscore because this is a public function, right? It's a public method, so no underscore. And we're going to pass in the ID. Else, then we're going to call this dot underscore tracker dot remove workout and pass in the ID. All right, and then underneath that, what I'm going to do is just remove the item from the DOM. It won't affect this stuff up here because that has to do with the tracker, but just to remove from the DOM, let's say const item and say e.target, and I'm going to use closest again. Keep writing closets. So closest, and we want the entire card, and then we can actually, we don't really need to have this in a variable. We can just say the closest card, and then we want to remove. Okay, and if I try it now, it'll give me an error because these two methods don't exist. So I'm just going to comment that out for a second and just show you that if we add a meal and then we delete, it gets rid of the item, but notice that this is all, nothing changed up here. That's going to happen with the tracker. So let's go ahead and uncomment that, and now we're going to create our remove meal. So let's go up into the tracker, and it's a public method, so we're going to put it at the top with the add meal and add workout. So we'll go right under add workout, and let's say remove meal, and remember that takes in an ID. Now I want to find the index of the meal that I want to remove, so let's say const index. I'm going to use the find index method, so we want to say this dot underscore meals, which is our array, and then we want to find the index, and find index takes in a callback function, and we'll say for each meal. So basically we're looping through, and we're going to say where we want where the meal dot ID is equal to the ID that's passed in. So that'll give us the index. Now we want to check to make sure that it's a match. Now the way that find index works is if it doesn't match this, then it's going to be -1. That's going to be the value. Otherwise, then it will be, the actual index. So what we'll do is check to make sure that it's not equal to -1. So we'll say if index is not equal to -1, then we're going to, let's say, const meal, and we can get the meal with this dot underscore meals and then the index. Now, when we added a meal up here, we added to the total calories, right? So that means when we remove a meal, then we want to take away from the total calories. So we can actually copy that line and just change this to minus. Okay, so it's going to take away whatever calories that particular meal is. Then we want to take the meal out of the array completely. So let's say this dot meals, which is the array, and we're going to splice. And we want to splice from the index, and we only want that single one. So we'll add 1 here. Then we just want to render. So this dot render. I'm sorry, this dot underscore render. So let's save that, and then let's add a meal. Actually, we'll add 2. So dinner 700. All right, so now when I remove dinner, we should go back to 500 calories consumed, and this should go away, which I already showed you. So we click OK, and there we go. The progress bar slides back down. This goes back to 500, and that's all set. Now for remove workout, it's going to be very similar. So I'm going to just copy remove meal. Actually, wait a minute, is that? Yeah, so we want to copy that, paste that in, and we're going to change this to remove workout. Takes in the ID, and we're basically doing the same thing here. So this workouts, which is our workouts array, and then let's just change this and this to workout. And then we're going to check for the index, and we'll change this, and yeah, we'll change all these to workout. Okay, so we're getting the specific workout using the index. Then for the calories, if we're getting rid of a workout, that means we need to add the calories back on. So we want to do plus equals. Then we want to take the workout out of the array, and then we want to re-render everything. So let's try that. So we'll add workout. Okay, so right now we're at a loss of negative 500 calories. Let's add a meal as well. Okay, so we're at a gain of 200 calories. Now, if I remove this, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't add the event listener for the workout. So basically, we want to copy this and do the same thing, except we're going to change these to workout. Okay, so workout items, and then we're going to still call remove item, but we're passing in workout as a type. So again, let's add a meal, add workout. Okay, so now if I delete the workout, that goes away and we get calories back. Okay, so that's it for this video. Let's move on to the next one.